So, Cara, just delighted you're here today. Thanks very much for agreeing to say a few words. And with World Mental Health Day coming up on the 10th of October, we thought it'd be appropriate to allow politicians, local representatives to say a few words about mental health. And in terms of mental health, quite a few things have been happening in the background on a regional basis. And just very happy if you want to comment or say a few words about how you see things going.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I would have to say, I've been in the Assembly now just over 4 months. And initially going in, I was thinking, mental health, do politicians really care? And I have to say, I've been amazed at the level of collaboration that we've seen. All politicians across the chamber, all parties, they recognise mental health as a real issue. And I have to say, Robin Swan, we've seen how he's certainly set it as a priority when I look through the Mental Health Action Plan that's been released in May. Recently, I've set up a dual diagnosis and addiction APG, which essentially looks at, those struggling with mental illness and drug dependency. And I have to say, there really is, I'm very optimistic about the conversation of mental health now in 2020. I think that definitely politicians do regard mental health as a priority, and it'll be really interesting to see the next year or so with the collaborative working where we'll end up.
Absolutely. I think you've really highlighted the fact, things are starting to change, and particularly that whole collaborative feeling, actually there's cross-party agreement on all of this. We know it needs to be done. And I think probably, as we discussed already, the executive level group as well sets the tone. The fact that they are coming together to talk about mental health wellbeing at that level on a regular basis. They've done training as well, and mental health first aid. They're talking about safe talk training as well. That's all really, really positive. And I suppose the big thing as well, which is highlighted, and the importance of mental health and the appointment that Robin Swan's made, is the interim mental health champion as well.
One of the main reasons I had got into politics myself is I had lost someone personally to suicide, and so certainly her work addressing the link between conflict and addiction and violence in the home, I think it's really interesting. But no, I think she's a fantastic addition.
In terms of just moving on to the theme for World Mental Health Day, this year it's set by the Mental Health Federation. It was a global organisation. They've said it should be mental health for all, greater investment, greater access. And I suppose from what you've been saying as well, certainly everything you've been saying is if you feel that we should align with that in terms of being in Northern Ireland, what we should be doing.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be, a struggle with access to services pre and during COVID-19, of course. But it seems to be, I spoke recently with Paul McCosker. He's one of our representatives, and he's also a mental health nurse. And he has said it's even if services are there, it's about ensuring that people have the access to those services. And it's just, I think people struggle to know what's available to them. And sometimes, with the multidisciplinary teams, what can happen is they're sent back out and they're sent to a waiting list. I know recently one statistic I was looking at was that with children and adolescents mental health care in the Western Trust, there's a 57-week wait. And these are statistics that shouldn't exist. Do you know what I mean?
Cara, thanks very much indeed. That's great. Is there any last message you want to give to any constituents or anybody or any groups particularly with respect to World Mental Health Day, which is beckoning?
I would say a shout out to Nexus NI. I think they're a fantastic charity who supports sexual assault survivors. I know I was speaking to some of their counsellors and how they've adapted going online or using the phone. But also just a message of hope to anyone who's listening that politicians do care. I know recently there was a motion debated, and they used the term debated loosely because there was such massive support right across the chamber about the multi-agency triage team. And it's done a fantastic job in its trust, and we're looking at could it be expanded right across the north. And so it had the approach of the officer, paramedic and mental health nurse, and it's just fantastic to see cross-party support. It really is there, and that the services are there. So to encourage anyone listening to please reach out and avail. All right.
Great. Thanks very much indeed, Cara. I really appreciate that.